Hello, everyone. Welcome to my stream this week. So I have decided that, okay, and I've said it many times, I need to get more discipline, is to set things up. So then if anybody you are watching, you want to be participating, doing some of the code, I actually do need to set things up so then it makes it easier for you to try things out. So that's my plan. Now, this morning, I'm not sure if any of you were on my Discord server, and I did share with everybody. Sometimes I tend to forget, or when I'm doing other things, I didn't go off and then advertise what I'm doing for the day. And as an advocate, I go out and do talks, even though mostly virtual. But next week, by the way, I'll be in Atlanta, USA, right? Georgia, USA, for the DevNexus Developer Conference. So if you are in the Atlanta area, I'm kind of guessing that you know about that conference because it is really big. And normally, if it's not pandemic time, it was like up to 2,800 people attending. So imagine like this huge place of so many developers are like-minded individuals like ourselves who are interested into learning more about software. All of the things is really like a really good opportunity to kind of get together and then meet people too. It's always a great one. It's so much of a heavy community flavor to it. So yeah, so I hope if you are there that you can come visit too, because but the thing is though, I'm not sure if they still have any tickets. Last I've heard is that the tickets are going fast. So yeah, so if you're in Atlanta or if you're planning to go there next week, right? The 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. I think the 12th is the day of the workshop, and then 13th, 14th are the day of the conference itself. So I should actually share with you the link too. So, and I mean, it's not free, and but the nice thing about it is got a lot of nice people there. So DevNexus, and I'll share with you that link in the chat here. So DevNexus. So that's the link, and I just share with you, and let me show on the stream as well. So if you want to attend that and look that up, right? And myself too, I will be speaking there. And actually, because the time, as you can see, right, there are some of the other keynote speakers. Venkat, everybody knows him. He's really amazing. If you know about him, especially on Java and JavaScript side too, he's also doing presentations on that. And he's absolutely amazing. I have just so much respect for him. Also, it's because he's such a humble person, not a bit of arrogance with him, but he, to me, I feel like if he need to be arrogant, he has the right to be, because he's really just that good, and it's just so, and just so kind about it too. And I can never see him. He would never be arrogant. I mean, in fact, I'm kind of in the world, I'm finding it interesting that for people who are truly really good, down to earth people, they don't even show a bit of an arrogance or anything, right? But then on the other hand, you get people that, yeah, they may be smart, but it's a bit like, a bit kind of, to be honest with you, I think maybe they're a bit more focusing on the self, let's put it that way. So they tend to be more like, a little bit, they carry with them some level of arrogance. But anyway, that's just my thought. So I never like that, because I think there's just an infinite number of people, of things that we need to learn. We are all expert in our things, but there are other things that we need to know about too. And of course too, there are other keynote speakers, and Stephen Chin, right? I forgot to mention, he's a great guy too. He used to be the Oracle community, Java community program director, but he left and is now at JFrog. He's also a great guy too. He used to organize at Java One, the conference, right? The big Java conference, and they would be doing these fun like Java skits, right? And then it's really funny. I think if you search on YouTube, you should be able to find it too. Why I know about it, because they would ask all of the JUG leaders, Java Users Groups leader, to participate too. So I helped out, and in fact, I was acting in some of that too. In fact, the last year of Oracle Java Code 1, right? They changed the name from Oracle 1 to Code 1 to accommodate not just Java people, but just coding in general. So they Code 1. So 2017, I believe, or 18 actually. So I was there, and I also participated in that. That was really a fun skit too. I was going to say, let me kind of search for that. But before I go to, let me also kind of introduce you. Anna, right? Anna over here. Anna is with Red Hat now. She used to be with Anna over here. So she was with the IBM before. She was more with the services division. So working with the consulting division, and so she was working with customers in Romania, and that's where she is originally from. And now I believe she's in Amsterdam now, but she transferred over to Red Hat. So she's a developer advocate, and she's really wonderful too. So that should be nice. And then of course over here there's Neil Ford, and Neil actually lives in Atlanta, so for him it's an easy commute, right? So Neil is also very good with ThoughtWorks, right? If you know about him for architecture point of view. Anyway, so I'm doing these advertisements for some of these great speakers, and then there are workshops, right? And these are folks doing workshops. And okay, and what else, right? So there are Jakarta EE, there's Cube native Java apps, Vic Gamow, I think he's at Kong now, but he was at Confluent, right, with Kafka for a while. Over here, Marcus Kett is from Germany. He has a company called MicroStream. So if you're familiar with it, right, they developed this MicroStream. It's like an in-memory database caching in-memory thing that is quite interesting as well. So he also runs another conference in Europe, in Germany too. So anyway, then there's David Delabassi. He's a developer advocate at IBM, not IBM, I'm sorry, Oracle. Let me take it back. So Oracle. And he's great too, a Java person. He's based in Belgium, I think. And then Raju, he's amazing, great, good friend too. So Raju is actually right now is in Colorado, but I met him too actually in India when we both went to the conference in India called Great uh, International Developers Summit GITS, right? So anyway, then there's Venkat also doing something with software design, and then Adib Saikali, I don't know him, but that would be interesting. It's something to do with authorization, something more with the Java security, I guess, right? Spring security. And then Melissa McKay, good friend of mine too, JFrog developer advocate. So these should be good. These are all the workshops and then all the sessions, right? And like I said, there are different sponsors. But anyway, I'm just advertising because I think next week will be amazing. And then, all of these things. So you can check that out. So go to that site I just over here, right? So, okay. So I will be speaking. I'll be talking about stateful microservices. So before, right, I was doing things on Cloud Native, on Jakarta EE, and then support through microprofile, Open Liberty, all these things. So while microprofile still has this capability of doing saga pattern, right? The long-running action. I actually will be expanding that talk and include a bit of information of how Pulsar can also support you for doing stateful processing, stateful microservices as well. I think in today's world, though, I have to say, right, there's nothing isolated. Everything is kind of, everything's being designed so then they can work with one another. And I see the trend in there. And the enabler would be like an event-driven type of approach, right? Like some kind of things in which you can build up data pipelines. I did a talk on reactive before that actually is about retrofitting our legacy Java applications and retrofitting it with reactive pipelines. So you can do that as well. And it doesn't have to be all reactive, right? So reactive as such, it supports the 4 tenets, right, of reactive. And in fact, this morning too, I was at the, I help out DataStax. We have a workshop. It's actually on pet, the spring pet clinic, right? That particular example. Initially, it came out from Oracle, the JavaSoft side. So pet clinic is kind of this kind of de facto standard of Java. Seems like the SDK kind of reference implementation, right? So it first came out with that, and then over time, then Spring came out, and Spring adapted it to fit into using the Spring framework. And now to here as DataStax, we have designed this DataStax to also add in the reactive flavor. Also, we have that work with Cassandra as well. So that's kind of brings me to why all of a sudden, before I started this stream, I was thinking what would be good to talk about. Maybe back to basics, just talk a bit about Cassandra, because in my mind, I thought most people would know about it. But actually, at this morning's workshop, our developer advocate the leader, right, Cedric, and he's based in France, a great guy, and he's also a good speaker, and he also is a project creator, a committer creator of FF, I think FF4J something. Yeah, so I should really kind of look back. Anyway, that was good too. He invited me to join him, and that was a really eye-opening for me, because the way he ran if you were at that workshop, and you are welcome to join. In fact, let me share that with you, because I think it's such a great workshop too. I learned something while I'm helping out. So, wait a minute. Let me go to that. Let me go to. Okay, let me search for my. It's on YouTube, by the way. So, let me. You don't mind? Let me look for the link to it. I just had the link, and where did it go? Okay, and so if you don't mind, give me just a minute and I will find a link for you. You know how that goes. We just get too many things, and then okay, that would be pet clinic. So build the reference Spring Pet Clinic example. So that was just today. Whoa, it's actually got like 497 views already. That's really amazing, right? So anyway, so this one, let me kind of copy it over here. I think it's worth kind of sharing, because you you can take a look at it, and that's why I'm thinking, well, maybe today's too for me. I'm still not, expert in Cassandra, but the thing is, with me doing the streaming, because at DataStax here, we support streaming, but using Apache Pulsar, and it's a bit more like the streaming support. A large part of it is to support our Cassandra, the Astra managed cloud platform, right? It's named Astra database platform. So I'll also show that to you. Then, if you follow this workshop, it also shows you how you can sign up for a free tier account. And I believe I shared that link with you already, but no problem. Let me share with you again today. But anyway, so this was the workshop I did this morning. And like I said, right, it is kind of good. Let me kind of go back in here so I know where I am. So this, and I didn't even share with you the link. So let me do that. I go back to my my streaming here. So let me unshow the DevNexus now. Oops, why is it showing again? Hide. Okay, and now this is the spring. I'll just say workshop. Spring NoSQL Cassandra. And this is also Webflux. And I should just say reactive. And then we have Project Reactor and Webflux, right? So, all right. So this is, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So you see that, well, I kind of give you a little too much information. So I have it too on the chat too. So if you want to click on that, otherwise too, you can also see it on the screen here, the last part of this thing, right? So let me kind of do that once again. How could I, let me do this one thing. I think I'm a little bit tired today because running a workshop, in fact, was quite exhausting, and my first one with the company at DataStax here. So it's a bit, a lot of stuff, right? I have to kind of get ready. I didn't know what the format exactly, even though I watched some of it, but to be there is another thing. Then I have to be prepared. So anyway, yeah, let me show it again. But I already showed it to you anyway on the chat dialog. So you should be able to, yeah, that's right. I see that there's a link. So feel free to click on that and watch that at your leisure too, if you want. And right now, like I said, the number of viewership has kind of grown too. And I think DataStax here has been doing really successfully, I think, in running all of the workshops and really bring to a lot of, kind of really great opportunity to learn, and without imposing on you that you need to buy our stuff. That's not the point. The point is that we want you to be able to use it, and then you can experience how good it is, right? And then it's free too, and that's what we like to advocate for. So there we go. So that's that. And then I talk about DevNexus, and then there's also AstraDB. So that will be the next thing we can get in to kind of get a bit of hands-on into the Cassandra part. I think that may be useful, yeah, right? And so, okay. So without further ado, let's get going. Although I wanted to bring to your attention, right? If you go to DataStax.com, here we go. DataStax, that's what I started with, those DataStax.com. But you can just go there too, but I'll just share with you there. So, okay, so DataStax.com, if you go here, then there are tons of information you can find out, right? Again, it's really, if I know that folks, if you work with Kafka, people all think of the Confluent platform, right? The Confluent is the one that has the managed cloud and everything. So here too, if you think of Cassandra, you think of DataStax, because we are the one that gives you that managed cloud platform, really robust too. And then there are different, products too. I think I shared with you already, but let me repeat that again, right? If you go to AstraDB, that's the managed multi-cloud managed platform is what it is. So we can actually, now there's also, that's another thing, there's this thing called CDC, and in fact I was showing this morning. CDC stands for change capture, change data capture. So what it is, if you search for it, is actually a architecture pattern. in some sense, design or architecture pattern is basically, it's if you are more of a data kind of person, right? Less of a compute. Well, I guess there's compute and then operating of all the data, but really it's a data-centric kind of design pattern that it captures the change of data, capture the state, right? And then it's a kind of pattern, and it captures the state as it happens, and then we'll act on it accordingly. That's why too, I think, the event-driven approach to doing things, to solving problems, is like a really good candidate to help to implement CDC, this change data capture pattern. So in Astra streaming, so AstraDB is the Cassandra managed cloud platform, AstraDB. And over here too, while database is database, you enter information and all of these things. So we want to be able to capture the change as the data that's stored on the tables, right, in Cassandra, be able to capture and do something about it. So we're leveraging then on Apache Pulsar as such, right? Now we should switch to the event-driven architecture and framework project, which is Apache Pulsar, and that's what DataStax is using to implement our streaming capability. So we use this, and as you can see over here, the CDC for AstraDB is basically connect AstraDB to the real-time data ecosystem. So we leverage Pulsar because it becomes a listener that we have Pulsar to listen on the table for any changes. If there are changes to it, then we'll do something about it. The nice thing about this is encourage the build, your architecture to be constructed of a number of data pipelines, different kind of segments that can be hooked up together, like pipeline, right? It's kind of like, think of like water pipe. You have like different chunk of the water pipes, go through different towns and cities and collect, water or something, and or deliver water, right? So the same kind of concept, right? So it's CDC helps you to kind of capture changes and then have data be redirected to different places accordingly. So that's what essentially is in a nutshell. But I can be showing that more too, because I'm actually involved now to help out with this feature. But as such too, I'm like so interested, so I'm like doing multiple things all at once. So okay, so there's also feature of the serverless database built on Apache Cassandra too. So there's serverless side things that we can do, and then like I said, there's also on Pulsar. Okay, on Pulsar side, that's what I wanted to also bring up, is eventually we'll get to that. But let's kind of first start with the Cassandra. How about that? So let's go back to here, and I think the good place to find out information would be like a developers doing like getting started, right? So I did find out, for example, I don't know, I don't think I've tried this yet, but let's do it together. If we go to try out Cassandra here, go to this page, right? And basically it says that this scenario will take 5 minutes to complete. So let's give that a try. So Cassandra query language is sort of like, if you think of Cassandra, it's a NoSQL database. So in normal database, we have SQL, right? SQL to normal relational database. So CQL is what it is to Cassandra, being a big data columnar-based type of database design, right? So that's what it is. So you interact with Cassandra using CQL. So let's do that. And basically, there's also a command line CQL shell, and execute statements like create, key space, use and create table, and all of these things. And then you can use statements like insert, select, update, and delete. So pretty much like the normal SQL SQL databases. So, and this scenario is also available on datastax.com/dev site too. So which is over here. So let me share that with you. So okay. Let me see. I might actually have it in the past too. So I don't need to like have too many things. And maybe not. Maybe it cleans it up. Sorry. So let me do that. I think I know. Some of the things, if I want to display, is actually only show once. So what I just show you is over here, datastax.com /dev. So if you go to that, you see these things, and you can watch the video, do whatever. But let's try out Cassandra. I think that would be just quick to kind of give this quick kind of test drive to its beginner. It should be fairly straightforward. let's just kind of take a look. So let me then unhide, or not hide, I should say hide it. So let's kind of take a look into this, and then we can kind of get some of the basic things going. Maybe I was just thinking it may, I can't tell. Maybe, like I said, this morning, I forgot to say I was at the, the session there. And then there was a survey to ask people how many have using Java or Python or different languages, and how many have heard of Cassandra or have used Cassandra. But I kind of came to find out that not even half the people, I think, from what I recall, there were not too many people, not like 400 at that time, maybe about 100 people, something like that. And I'd say it's probably half almost that are not using Java and then using Python mostly. Python was first, I remember, then Java, and then the other languages too, like JavaScript, and then there's some in Go and Ruby, for example. And then also Cassandra too. Some people said they haven't heard about it. So a few are using, but it's not the majority. Now, that's not very accurate statistics, right? Because it doesn't sample like a very typical group of people, right? But I guess we can sort of deduce that it is not untrue, that type of scenario. So that's why I thought, well, might be kind of good too. Now I should actually show something. So okay, so if you go here, it opens up this like an interactive space for you. So CQLSH is the shell, the command line shell for it. So you can do help. Let me see. Let me kind of make it a little bigger. Yeah, a little bigger might be better. So you can do help, and then help gives you all of these commands. And as you can see, they're actually very similar to what we're used to in SQL, right? Doing select, like I said, select, insert, update, delete. These are all there. And grant, right? Drop users, add users. I bet, right? There's no add users actually. There is drop user, create user. I'm sorry, there is create user. So yeah, it's kind of very typical. But the thing is, let's kind of take a look and try things out in here. It says create a key space. Oh, you press on it, it's already there. So this, as such, too, key space is kind of, think of it more like a namespace kind of thing, but it's relevant for a Cassandra database, right? So when you create a database, you do need to assign the namespace to it. In this case, it's basically we create one and also add to it the features of replication. This feature, replication, we're just going to use a simple strategy, and replication factor is only one. Now, there's like these are kind of like specific parameters, configuration that we normally want to do with when you define a database. So okay, so that's the key space, and let's see. So like I said over here too, right? Objects can be tables, user-defined types, and user-defined functions, and more like that. So we won't get into all the things. So let's kind of go to the next one. Is describe the key spaces. So you can just click on that, and it just shows you describe. So if you describe it, as you can see, the demo. And so I think, these are just different ones. There's one called demo, and then sysauth, system distributed system schema. All of these are kind of come by default. But the thing is, too, we created the demo. So demo is the one that's user created. Otherwise, you have 7 other system levels namespaces. So, and they're created inside the Cassandra cluster. So that's what it is. So now if we continue, let's then create a table. Create table, and then name. You do need your namespace and then the name of the table, and then basically then specify your schema to your table. In this case, like your name of your your field, and then the type, and then is it a primary key, and then so on and so forth. So let's do that. So over here, as you can see, we created one with last name, first name, and email. So very simple kind of demonstration. The primary key is listed as last name. So then we can now insert data. So the thing is, too, we do need to select the namespace in here, right? So use. Actually, I don't need to type it, but that's okay. I can type. So now I got into here, and then inserting columns. I basically can then do these things. We're gonna insert 3 rows, right? There are 3 different people, 3 different sets of information. So we can just press 1 for the first one, second one, third one. So as you can see, created. And then you can, if you have a CSV file, you can export these and basically use the copy command to insert data. So we can actually do that. And so as you can see, if you copy, from a table, and then what columns you need, and then from, from, actually it's interesting. I find it, they always say from, but it's actually writing out to my system's output. I wonder if it's actually created onto my user, into my user, kind of space rather than like in memory on the cluster. But let me see, right? So, wait, in my user, sorry. Actually, let me go over here. All right, so these are different things I'm doing, but that's okay. I'm also playing, by the way, with Akka serverlets as well. So we can go over here. This is my user space. Did it write here? No, actually it didn't. I thought it did because I said write to users, right? So it didn't, actually, because this is, well, actually, here we go. And I don't know what this is. That's kind of weird. Okay, so it's supposed to write to the, from users.csv. Oh, okay, so maybe in this case is basically my, the local, my cluster users directory. So let me take a look. I don't think you can kind of just do an ls. I guess not. Okay, I'm just so used to it, but that's okay. List. Okay, all of these are just different things. Okay, all right, so that's good. And then we have filled out tables. It doesn't tell me how to look at it, so let's take a look. That's funny. I'm trying to kind of have it tell me how I can get to the file that I write to, right? So let me see. System? I thought I stepped through this before. For some reason, I don't remember what I did. And it doesn't tell me how to get to it, but that's just my curiosity to see. Oh, wait a minute. It's basically is copied from. So now, oh, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? I'm kind of sometimes like forget about things. So, okay. So what it is doing is that it's doing a, of course, it's copy from. It means I'm importing it from external is what it is. So over here too, I can just do a select star from demo.users. So here we go. So there were 9 rows, and that's what it says, 9 rows that are from the file, external file users.csv. So it just fills it up, and as long as those files are conform to the standard. But let's take a look too. Is there like a more or something like look at my system files or something? Use? No? Okay, maybe that maybe not then. Documented shell command, source show. Okay, well, anyway, that's fine. So at least we know then the data have been copied from the external file and imported or inserted into the table. And now we can update a row of user data. We can just do something like select stars where last name is a certain one. So let's do that. So now we found Posen is what we're searching for. So Posen has recently changed their email address, so they need to be updated in the table. So update users set email equals blah blah blah. So okay, so we did that, and we should be able to select users Posen. So see, Posen has been updated. Is L Posen at example.com? It replaced the previous one. So okay, so we update by using the primary key in this case, and we have just updated a row of user data. Okay, now let's say, right, we kind of want to remove this person, so a delete command will simply do it. It's delete from the table users where last name is equals Posen. So okay, so we deleted it, and let's see if we select, and then there's no more data. So okay, so I think it is definitely true. We have completed it, and it's only like I guess less than 5 minutes you could do it, in a whirlwind essentially. So all right, so that's pretty cool. But like I said, I just wanted to visit a little bit to get a sense of Cassandra. But of course, there's a lot more things to it too, right? These are just the very basic. And there's also cloud native, right? Let's see what it is in cloud native. Okay, so it's just a lot more like explained to it. I thought there might be some kind of hands-on, but not. What is Cassandra? So this, I believe, is also kind of it goes into all of the details explaining it, the different diagrams that you can kind of learn about it, Cassandra's timeline. That might be useful too, because even I did not know. I think I can actually, I thought there would be a diagram that shows it. So uh, I guess not. And yeah, let's download it and see what happens, right? Okay. Okay. So this is nice. Sometimes I think to me it always helps too. So April 2010 was Cassandra graduated from Apache Incubator with integrated caching and map reduce. That's 0.6, that version. 0.7 came out about 6-8 months later, January 2011. The secondary indexes and online schema changes. Then June 2011, right, almost like a year and 2 months after the incubation graduation. Then CQL kind of came out, version 1, self-tuning, all of these. Then October of these, you can read that. And then essentially too, it becomes more kind of full-blown as a robust database. And TikTok even like releases added time window. And in fact too, if you kind of look around, there are a lot of companies, the customers of DataStax of our Cassandra platform too. But this is actually specifically Cassandra, right? We wanted to focus on the on the open source side. And then basically right now we're on version 4.0 since July of 2021. So a little, I guess, like 9 months so far, right? So is it 9 months? Yeah, it is. So okay, all right. So this is a bit of a history. So I think that probably is pretty good. Then why don't we then get into the Astra Cloud at this point, right? So I believe I have shared with you already. So if you go to those website, you should be able to get to it. Astra.datastax. You could do that too. So you can get to it from here. And like I said, I already created an account, but it's really, I just love things when you don't need your credit card and it can be created right away. So you can, so once you have set up, you basically can then click on the sign in with your GitHub or Google. In my case, I'm using my Google account. So, and then I'm using, which one am I using? I think I'm using my DataStax. So okay, so as you can see in here, right, you see the dashboard that actually it's actually quite nice. I mean, to me, I find that having this really helps, and it is kind of simple enough. It lays out everything. It's very clear. I really like that, and like I said, I have this thing in here that you can look at. I guess presumably, if you don't need it, I'll just hide it so it doesn't block things on the screen. So. Okay, so as you can see, no credit card required. You already created it. In my case, right, you can just create the database too. So go to create database and then fill in what you need in this case. But I won't do it because I've already done it. But like I said, you can pick a cloud provider. Isn't it nice? I always like it whenever we don't need to pay for it to kind of use it, right? I mean, as programmers, we like these kind of things. So for me, I actually picked, I think, which one did I do? I think I picked an AWS because that's a bit important too. In order to do the change data capture in Pulsar, that's in our Astra database cloud, there are only certain regions that have support for it. So you have to pick the right region. So that might be something. Then let's go visit our site because I just don't have it with me right now. Or maybe we can go over here. What is AstraDB? So there's also Astra Streaming. That's right. So if you go to Astra Streaming, it will kind of show you too documentation on Astra Streaming. And then Astra Streaming, there should be a change data capture. Guys, an example. CDC. So if you go to CDC for AstraDB, then it will give you the step as to how you can set up CDC without actually coding as much. And that's kind of like a basic scenario too. So over here, let me share this page with you so you can go there directly if you desire. So let me see. So Astra CDC streaming, right? And sorry, I meant to say this. Okay, so I kind of have the label first, and then I type in the next thing. So this is the link that you can get to this page for CDC for Astra streaming. Like I said, right? We can kind of quickly kind of get into that too. So these are like different data types that it supports. So you can take a look. Now there's also in Cassandra too. There's also this format called Afro that we support. So not sure if you guys are using it, but the thing is, let's click on it too. That might be kind of good to kind of point that out. CDCQL data types, right? You can have different data types. And actually, I was going to say Afro. I thought there's also Afro. No, not here. Data modeling. I thought there might be. Let me see if there's also Afro. Oh, there's actually none. Okay, so we'll take a look too, because I think that might be important. Now, the thing is, I'm sure too, we are more familiar too when we talk about data, when it's kind of, on the transmission kind of level, right? When we always talk about JSON, right? On application, how do they do transmission? We usually call JSON. We use JSON, but Afro too is another format, and Apache Afro. It's a data serialization system, and that's the format that's used by Cassandra too. So it supports both. So let me kind of go over here. If you go to, okay, so it's essentially this, right? Apache Afro. So you can kind of search for it and understand a bit too. It's a data serialization framework. So you can kind of take a look into it if you like, right? So Afro. Again, these are just information, some extra information for you to kind of take a look at. It's kind of similar too. Afro schemas are defined using JSON. Let me kind of make it a little bigger too. So schemas are composed of primitive types, right? They can be made of null, boolean, int, long, float, all of these that we're familiar with, strings, and complex types that are like record, enum, array, map, union, and fixed, all these things. And so if you kind of take a typical example would be kind of JSON style, right? And it has its own schema too. So you can kind of do it. You can do nesting to some field that are actually containing multiple rows of JSON formatted data too. And so, yeah, so that's why I think they also become kind of popular too, right? And it's adopted by Cassandra. So, all right, sorry. So let me go back. So I hope that is a bit kind of useful to kind of step through things as we try to understand it. And okay, so let's kind of not worry about some of these details. Now, there's some limitations too, if you kind of take a look, right? I jump kind of straight into this change data capture for AstraDB has the following limitations. Basically, it does not manage table truncates, does not sync data available before starting the CDC agent, right? Does not replay logged batches, and does not manage time to live, and does not support range deletes. And CQL column names must not match a Pulsar primitive type name, right? That type of stuff. And I think that's understandable and does not support multi-region too. That's another thing too. With Pulsar, if you recall, if you came to my previous talk too, is that it supports data in different regions very well. There are geo-replication and multi-region, multi-tenancy type of concepts. But I guess the change data capture, unfortunately, at this point is a bit of a limitation. It doesn't support that, not yet. But I believe that there will be plans to support that in the future. So. And then basically, too, in order to use streaming, you can just use the UI in there and create streaming, and then it should be able to do it. You create the streaming and then create a table, and that's pretty much there to it, right? So okay, so we can let's step through something like this, okay? And let me go back to my dashboard over here. So the database has been created in my case. So if you haven't, if you like to give it a try, right? You can do that. Let me kind of also minimize this thing, and so it doesn't block. Okay, so we can then go and create a stream, let's say, right? And right now, too, just so you know, oh, actually, I have a MG Twitch demo 1. How did I create that? Oh, that's right. I meant to actually go to that page also to find out the region that we're supposed to be using, because there's a limit too on which region supports CDC. So that's important right now. Let me take a look. Sending messages. Okay. So this, in fact, is a bit of a basic kind of scenario too. So, and creating a tenant and a topic limitations. I wonder if it's been unblocked, because I thought for a while it says only certain regions. Let me see. About the streaming, I thought maybe it's over here, maybe. Quick start. That might be where it says. Oh, maybe this is the same too. Oh yeah, here we go. So if you go to here, it also says the tenant regions. These are the places. These are the only regions at the moment that support CDC. So over here, I think Google Cloud, I believe I've selected US Central 1. So let's see. I think if that's a good one, then I can use that. Yeah, US Central 1. So I have my streaming set up correctly, or actually database set up correctly. But my tenant, I believe I'm using this one. I'm not using Google Cloud with US Central 1, the region. So let's take a look. If not, we can just quickly create another stream. So yeah, that's right. So yeah, this one is using AWS. So okay, so let's do one thing. I have my MG Twitch demo 1 created as the database. Let's then create a stream to tie into this particular database. So I can just say, okay, MG Twitch. Actually, you know what? I call it like a Twitch stream. But let's call it a little bit better. Like we create a tenant, we create the tenant for the tenant. Actually, you know what? Let me do this one thing. I'll come back in here. Twitch demo 1. So I call it like a bit more consistent. Let's do it again. Twitch demo 1. Twitch tenant 1. So, and then I'll use Google Cloud because I want to kind of work with the database, and I'll pick US Central 1. That's the one that has CDC support. So, and that's it. You know, it's actually quite not complicated at all. So create it. Now this is going to, I believe, take a bit of time. Oh, actually, it shows up already. So yeah, okay. Well, that is quite fast, but it is very true. It probably doesn't like take a whole lot of time is what it is. So again, right, if you're new in here, you wanted to know what this is for. This is essentially for capturing change of data as it happens, via a stream, and is managed by the Pulsar PubSub capability, right, to capture all those changes. So okay, so over here, I have my tenant set up, and it's going to work with demo 1. And so here it is. Plan is GCP, that particular one, the broker service URL, web service URL, WebSocket, and the token manager too. I think I already have created my token. Okay, so that's actually created by default, it appears, right? It's today, so that's okay. So that's cool. So let's go back in here. So in order to get started with this Astra streaming, it's basically Apache Pulsar behind the scenes, and it's a hosted pay-as-you-go cloud-native distributed messaging and streaming platform. And then it has tenants, right? It's a top-level administrative unit. So within the tenant, it's multiple namespaces for logical grouping of different applications. So in other words, if you have a company, you can actually, if the company is really big, you do want to have demarcate, right, all of your different tenants. You can actually, let's say, right, your company has a finance department, an accounting department, purchasing, marketing, engineering. You can actually create different tenants for each one of them. And then it's essentially their namespace, their particular space. And underneath in each tenant, you can actually create different applications that are servicing that particular function within your company. So this is an example of what these tenants are. It's a bit more like a logical grouping, so you can manage all of your resources kind of efficiently. So in each namespace, you can create multiple topics to send and receive data. Your Astra streaming account allows you to create multiple Pulsar tenants, namespaces, and topics. So let's just do that. So we'll create a partitioned or non-persistent topics in the default namespace. So talking about which two, for topics, right, there's this concept of partitioned or non-persistent. So in other words, you can have topics that are essentially being divided in terms of their storage in different regions too, or not non-persistent, meaning that you don't even save it into storage somewhere. Maybe it's just in memory. So let's kind of take a look in the topics. Okay, so it'll take some time, a little bit of time. It is taking a bit of time. Yeah, well, okay, what should we do, right? Let's not waste our time. We try to act. I like to think of myself, I'm like a reactive person. Well, kind of in a sense, right? It's just being nerdy. It's calling reactive, meaning that I drop off something, then I'm gonna already hurry off to do something else so I don't waste my time. But okay, all right, but here it goes. It comes back. Now is the topic, right? And it's basically when you create a topic too, it has to associate with the default namespace. And then I can add a topic and call it like Twitch demo 1, maybe like that, and call it like persistent. It's not partitioned. So, okay. Okay, so my topic is created, but where is it? Okay, one topic. So I have to highlight it, then I can see. So the name of the topic, look at it. It is basically you have to indicate, right? It is a persistent topic that is underneath the that particular tenant where it created, and it's a default topic, and its name is Twitch. The default topic for the topic namespace. So there are different things, right? There are namespace for your database, the key space, right? They're called. That's why I think they're called key space. You don't want to mix in other things, and then there's tenant too. So tenant itself doesn't by itself has any namespace, but the topics that are created underneath it will have different namespace associated with it. So then, in this particular example, is simple. We only have one thing, right? One topic per namespace, and that's not a big deal. But then in a real life conditions too, you can actually, maybe you want to have a daily processing of something, so you name the namespace according by date too. So within each date, maybe you're receiving a lot of data, so you want to have some ways of kind of separating and organizing them accordingly. So you could be using this kind of concept too. Anyway, so this is that, and you can delete, or let's say click on it and see what happens. All right, here we go. So right now too, nothing is happening. So there's nothing on this statistic side. But the thing is, you can have schema that's kind of you define it for it too. That can be listed, and then producers and the consumers in it too. So I think in real time, if we're sending things, we should be able to then see these columns, or these information should kind of get populated as we are kind of sending data back and forth and all of these things. So okay, so that's kind of should be simple enough. And let's go to namespaces. So namespace is default, but you can read up to if you kind of go over there, the settings, right? So here are the things like with the namespace, you can fine-grain tune it to retention time, maximum minutes that a message is retained, right? And if you recall, when I was doing the HiveMQ IoT messaging too, right, with the broker, it pops up, we always have like a timeout kind of thing, because what if you sending a message and the broker never gets it, or for whatever reason network times out, then there's some ways to, right, you need to kind of say, well, actually I should say retain messages is not for that. Retain is more like after I process it, I get delivered, I want to retain it, and then maybe usually too, right, in some kind of retain message thing is sort of like, call it a last known good value. You want to tell the broker that, don't delete it yet, hold on to it, and it's associated with this topic, and it's called like a a last known good value kind of retain thing. And then basically any kind of new subscriber coming in for this topic will also receive it. I think That's what you can think of a usage scenario. Anyway, then there's also size too. You can limit to it, and then time to live, right? The message, how long to actually maximum time to live. If it passed a certain time, you want to remove it. Don't take up space. And then their backlog size. And so you can get into all these kind of level of details too. And there's a producer exception, and there's revert setting. So you can actually revert it back, all of these things. So yeah, so this is through this UI. And then there's also functions. Now functions is what I wanted to actually try it out. Is basically functions are essentially, think of it like functional, the concept too. It is something very, very defined, well-defined, some sort of capability that you can code it up very lightweight as compute, right? Entirely compute. I guess in Java terminology, we call these kind of functions like static functions, right? And there's no need to have it hang around. Once it's done, it should go away, kind of thing. So functions. So it allows users to define custom code to apply processing logic to each message on a topic too. So you can actually read up more on it, right? Pulsar functions. Yeah. So that's something I was hoping to also get into maybe a little bit today. So in other words too, if you want your messages to be further transformed, or enriched, right, or some sort of mediation with this, then you probably want to consider using Pulsar functions to operate on the data that you get, right, in your payload and things like that. So, okay, so here we go. So this one, show on stream. So this is the Pulsar functions, right? So let's get into it. So Pulsar functions can consume messages, right? Let me kind of expand it a little further. Okay. Can consume messages from one or more Pulsar topics, apply a user-supply processing logic to each message, or publish the results of the computation to another topic too. So it is pretty flexible. You can do whatever you need to do, right? Leveraging on Pulsar functions capability. And the goals, right? For example, you can create complex processing logic without deploying a separate neighboring systems, such as like Apache Storm, Apache Huron, Apache Flink, right? And those actually will be very interesting event systems to also study about. And I like to actually do a bit of a kind of comparison, so then gives everybody some idea. So my understanding, for example, I guess with Apache Flink, it can do whatever what Pulsar is also doing, but I think none of these systems are catered or kind of built natively to support like cloud, right? In this kind of scenario in which any kind of geo-replication, they're complicated, because if you think of your topics are being kind of split into different regions for a storage purpose, right? And what if one node died and another one needs to spin up, and you have these duplicated things everywhere, then there's got to be mechanism of balancing them out too, right? That type of thing, and that's what is catchy. So anyway, Apache Pulsar, that's the nice thing, is that it already is natively already considered that type of usage scenario. So then from a developer's point of view, it's kind of nice and no need for us to deal with it. Say, for example, when I was working for the Mercantile Exchange, right? I think I still remember too, we had to do some clustering. We were doing it sort of like managing it ourselves. We were using WebLogic, right? The previous generation of Java Enterprise server. WebLogic, you can do clustering. So it is not very convenient, because then often I have to drop what I'm doing. For example, my application is going to manage traders, making trades. That's important, bringing money. But of course, it leverages on all of these internal, kind of function capability of your systems. And then if you have to kind of worry about doing any kind of clustering and load balancing, you have to worry about it. It's actually too much, because I want to also worry about handling the business logic too. So that's the whole point. And sometimes, other kind of systems, because you need certain kind of functionality, for example, to do kind of more like transformation. And guess what? Pulsar can actually help you do it through the use of the functions. So their computing infrastructure of Pulsar messaging system, the core goal is to tie to a series of other goals, right? It helps with data developer productivity, easy troubleshooting, and operational simplicity, right? So it's basically, it gets its inspiration from like Apache Storm, Apache Huron, Apache Flink, and there are also other, right? There's also Spark, for example. And I think Apache Spark is more written in Scala, and it's a bit more, I guess, for machine learning type of purpose. But you can consider using, certainly using Pulsar for doing your machine learning kind of things too. So, okay, let me see. Okay, I got another message, but I'll address it later. Anyway, so let me take a look. I'm kind of trying to look at my time. I still have about 20 minutes before another meeting. So let me kind of go over that. Maybe we can write a very simple basic Pulsar function to kind of take a look too. Now, there are also other vendors that develop like functions, right? For example, AWS has Lambdas. That's kind of more kind of a popular thing. And I think there's also, isn't it Kinesis or something? There's also a framework for running functions, right? So Amazon functions serverless, right? Something like that. If I search for that, I think it's Lambdas is first and foremost, isn't it? What is it that I was reading up about AWS Lambda, their function, same kind of concept, but what is it? Kinesis? Is it Kinesis? I mean, these days are so crazy, right? So Kinesis is slightly then different. If you think of like stream processing, data coming in and all the streams, and Kinesis is more on the kind of in a pipeline of action is taken. Is Kinesis helps with processing and analysis part of your streaming data. So that's what Kinesis is. It works kind of in I guess in conjunction too with the Amazon Lambdas too, I'm sure. So that's kind of specific vendor specific thing, but you can also have where am I now? So Pulsar functions. Okay. Then there's also Google Cloud Functions and Azure Cloud Functions too. So they kind of all operate under this kind of similar concepts, right? So there we go. Okay, and then Lambda style, right? And programming model, Pulsar functions provide a wide range of functionality, and the core programming model is simple. Functions receive messages from one or more input topics. Each time a message is arrived, then the function will complete that task. It applies some processing logic to the input and write output to an output topic in Pulsar, and then also can write it to Apache Bookkeeper. If you remember, right, Apache Pulsar, the strength of it, the design of it too, it's actually interesting because it separates out all of the bookkeeping. It delegates, sort of think of it, delegates over to another framework, which is called Apache Bookkeeper, the bookies, right? So because as such to bookkeeping is kind of, to me, is a boring kind of task. So you know that data comes in, you need to churn through, organize them accordingly, and kind of in a complex cloud environment, then you want to be able to split out all of the storage of all of these data and a lot of syncing up to do, I'm sure, right? And making sure data integrity is preserved and all these things. So essentially that's what it is, right? So and so Bookkeeper is the one that helps Pulsar to kind of manage all of these bookkeeping thing. And then, of course, there's also Zookeeper in here. It doesn't mention specifically, but Zookeeper, it helps with all the metadata, kind of managing on your cluster, all of these metadata, administrative kind of higher level kind of things too. But it's not mentioned in here, but I believe you should be able to use Pulsar functions that maybe like kind of manipulate your Zookeeper operational behavior too, something, right? So we'll find out. And then there's also, it write logs to a log topic, right? For debugging purpose too, maybe there are different logs that you want to send it to actually a topic too, so then it can be further processed, right? Increment a counter. So this is like a nice diagram that there are topics coming in and their input messages to the function. And then there are certain things that the Pulsar function gets the information. They can be writing things over to a log topic over here, right? Writing to another one. And then output message to write to another output topic for doing some things, right? For example. And so basically too, you can use Pulsar functions to set up the following processing chain. So it listens for the raw sentences topic and sanitizes incoming strings, right? Removing extraneous white space, converting all characters to lowercase, and then publishes the results to a sanitized sentences topic. A Java function listens for the sanitized sentences topic, counts the number of times each word appears within a specified time window, and publishes the results to a results topic. So these are just example, right? I mean, I see it more as an academic practice, right, usually. But in real life, too, we can be processing data to applying the same kind of pattern, right, to doing certain things. And so that's why doing this kind of basic exercise would be helpful to kind of get the gear in our mind as to how the mechanics work, right? Okay. And then basically too, Python function can listen for the results topic and writes the results to a MySQL table too, and drop it off in another table, right? So, okay, so this will be kind of interesting. Let's give this a try, right? We write the function in Java with the Pulsar Functions SDK for Java, and you can write the function as follows. So basically, the idea, I think we're going to be doing word count. So a sentence is basically a topic is set up to listen for any sentences that are dropped to the system. So it's kind of first part of the gatekeeper, right? Okay, drop it to me, and basically sending that strings over to Pulsar function, and the function itself analyzes it and then essentially organizes things and count the number of words. For example, the counter to count how many words have been appear in that sentence, like that. So that would be a fun thing to do. How about that? Let's do that. So we can kind of copy this whole thing into and then try it out. Or you know what we'll do? Let me kind of look for this. Okay. Actually, you know what? I can use my what you call it IDE to do things, but sometimes too. Actually, let me think about it. If I do this, if I want to do in Pulsar, I suppose I can do it on the command line. So let's kind of do things at command line first. Yeah. And I know too, and I don't know if Fusnabo is here today, but doesn't look like anybody is here. Maybe, it's tired for everybody, but that's not an issue. But Fusnabo, I remember you say that you do not like any IDE. I think I feel the same, but the thing is there's a certain amount of kind of convenience to it too. And actually, by the way too, let's kind of also spin up a Git pod. How about that? And then we can all try it together. How about that? First, let's write this piece of code and then upload it to my GitHub, my lab repository, and then from there I'll set up a Git pod to kind of be able to shareable. How about that? This will be our exercise for today. Although I only have 15 minutes now, so let's try to do it. Okay, here we go, and do it command line or as fast as I can. So let me kind of do this one thing. And why is this? Okay, here we go. Is it? Oh, this is my Spring Reactive. What am I doing? It's the wrong thing. Okay. And by the way, I am speaking at the Women in Tech Summit too. And you know what, guys? While I'm here, let me kind of advertise about it. And why am I so bad? I've been meaning, I'm actually speaking at too many conferences, I have to admit. And then there are things that they're giving out for free tickets, all of these things. When I remember, I'll post it. So now I remember. Why don't I advertise in here? Because maybe some of you would like to go. And I think there are other women speakers that are good. I haven't met most of them this year yet. So hopefully we'll meet them. So let me do this one thing. Let me kind of search for that link and this special thing. I know you're saying that, well, I'm in a hurry. Why am I doing this kind of thing? But that's okay. I mean, let me see. Okay. I cannot find it. Whenever I need stuff, I cannot find it. If I don't look for it, it's everywhere. So, okay. I just wanted to send you the link to this particular they have these because see what I mean. Sometimes I just don't do it because I realize that it often too much context switching will actually drastically reduce my productivity, right? But the thing is, it is necessary. Guess what? It is. So okay, but for now, let me kind of share with you. Let's share it over here. Women in Tech Summit. So this would be you can join, right? And so I give you the site. Okay, let me then now have to look for my. Okay, here we go. So you can see that. So Women in Tech Summit. Here we go. Show on stream. Okay, so that's the link, and you can go visit that. And let me then next thing to do before I forget is to give you the code. Now where is the code? They give me a bunch of code. Okay. Oh, here we go. I think, yeah, they sent it to me in a... now it isn't opening up. What is going on? Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. I found it now. Oh, social post. Yeah, they give me like a social post. Ah, here we go. Guess what? If you are interested, please contact me on my Discord. Now, I have a bunch of 25% off tickets, but I do have one that's like completely free. So if you want to go, please visit my, what you call it? Sorry, I'm just trying to think of multiple things at the same time. So, wait, let me get rid of this first. Hide, okay. And here it is, my Discord, right? Please join me on my Discord because I can give you whoever comes first come, first serve. I have one ticket that gives you a completely free ticket, and then there's also a code, and here it is. So let me go back to that, and I will share with you my discount code. Speaker 25. So okay. Okay, here we go again, and then I will just post in here. If you kind of look into the stream, I have sent you the discount code called Speaker 25, and that will give you 25% off. Okay, so at least I remember to do it this time, you know. Okay, so that's that, and I'm sorry I kind of get distracted. Okay, here I am getting back into here. I do want to plug this into this here. All right, so we're just going to try out the Pulsar functions. Let's do it by hand. How about that? Let's do it using VI. Okay, VI isn't my most kind of a thing, but I think for a small one, we should be able to do it quickly. So switch code, right? Previously, because I switched laptop, so otherwise too, I still have my MQTT pops up client too, and in my other laptop, and that's I still need to do that. Okay, all right, so let's copy. Why don't we do this, right? Copy this whole thing, and then we can kind of take a look into it. So we can do a cat on bash, right? Cat, let's do it. Let's do it. This one, call it Pulsar function demo1 Java. Okay, and then do a Control D. Oh, wait, no, I didn't do it right. Okay, do it again. Okay, here we go. Copy. That's all right. All right. All right, so now we get the first Pulsar function up. So let's kind of take a look in a better way. Let's do it like that. Let me bring my, let me do this one thing. I really don't have too much time anymore. I always kind of talk and then kind of get distracted, right? Yeah, so that's not very good. So let me do this one thing. All right, let me then go over here. So I'm work directory, Twitch code, this guy, right? It's Twitch code Pulsar. This is kind of a little too small, and actually there's tools of increasing the size. I don't know if I can actually, oh yeah, actually it works. I'm sorry. I didn't know I could use the shortcut, because there's some things that doesn't work. Okay, so here we go. So this is our very simple, the first Pulsar function. So all it's doing is word count function implements, essentially implement the Pulsar function, and it's basically taking the function with the signature of string and a void is invoked every time a message is published to the input topic. So let's kind of get this going, and we can plug it into our topic that we just created, right, on the Astra Cloud. So let's see if that works. So, and then essentially, if you can take a look into it too, implements it it has to implement and overrides the parent's process. In order to do this, we will take the input string and split, kind of basically tokenize it, right? Using all the spaces, and for each word, we then first convert it to lowercase, and then with that, then do a context increment count. This count to this context, what is it? Okay, so that's interesting. The context, actually, this context thing, I think is a Pulsar function thing. Oh, okay. So the Pulsar function already has an increment counter function that you can use, and then I don't know what this is. Increment counter key, and then 1. Not sure what the 1 is, but in any event, let's trust that it does it. So it's interesting too. This one is actually passed by reference, right? So essentially too, there's nothing to pass back. So it's passed by reference, and so whatever you update is basically will kind of go back to, framework takes care of passing it back to Pulsar. So, okay, so let's see how that goes, right? Okay, so we got this coded up. Let's see, I'll have about, I'd say 8 minutes that I need to go. So let's see if I can get that to work now. So here it is. And basically, we can then bundle and build the jar file to be deployed, then deploy it to the cluster using the command line. Okay, so that's the thing. So let's build it, okay? And I think, let me see, I still have 17. So I'm using Adobe OpenJDK 17. Now, right now, Java 18 is already out. No problem. I should actually, well, Adobe OpenJDK doesn't have the 18 yet. So that's still to come. But the Oracle one, they already released Java 18. So, okay, so let's kind of compile it so we can do it Java C. And then, now that's it. That's the thing too. Where is my Pulsar? Do I even have it? Right, that's another thing. Okay, that's actually a challenge too. When you do Java and I need to build, now over here it doesn't tell you the build file, and of course I can basically the what you call it. Okay, all right, so I can actually do a build file to a Maven, for example. Okay, so why don't we do that? So maybe this is time. Sometimes it comes in handy, but let's do this one thing. Maven Pulsar client. So we can be using Pulsar client 291. Okay. Okay, so we could actually do that, and then, well, maybe after all, we do need to have start a simple file. How about that? Okay, all right, I'm giving in for now because I kind of short on time. So, okay, so here we go. This, by the way, too, is the workshop I did this morning. I help out, right? So I didn't do the whole thing. Cedric actually put together. It's pretty amazing. So we'll share with you next time. But let's do this one thing. Let's do this real quick. Let's see if we can do it. Doing a new, and then doing a new import project from existing source. Okay, so I will just do the project from existing source, which is on Twitch, and over here, Twitch, where is, oh, I said the project, not the file. Okay, let me do this one thing. Okay, let's do an open. Okay, then open, we'll put it in there. Okay, doesn't work. Sorry, let's do a new project. It's not a new project. I mean, it's not an existing project. So I will just do it like new project, but it's a, let's say Java, a Maven project. And we will use JetBrains. Wait, let's use the Tamarin 17. So, and we do Maven, and basically we will do code. Actually, Pulsar. Let's do it like Pulsar demos, something like that. Okay. Actually, I like to put things underneath this here. We'll then move it over, but maybe I probably won't have enough time. So we'll put it under my Twitch code, and And the group ID will call it, no, I call it like one marriage. So that's my thing. Okay. That's my thing. And then artifact ID, Pulsar demos, and 101. Okay. All right. Finish. All right. Open new window. Let's put it over here now. All right. So, okay, that's very cool. Now, now I can then take a look and grab from the Maven directory over here. This guy, right? Oops, I have to use that guy. All right, here we go. So dependencies, but I actually do need. How much time do I have? I really have only 3 minutes left. Okay, so maybe we'll just get the code up. You can tell I'm getting a little bit more back my fluency in writing code. I mean, for longest time, did not write code. So, okay, here we go. And I have this. And then basically, too, then now I want to put my Java code over here. New Java class. And basically, I'll call it Pulsar client. Sorry, function demo 1. Okay. Okay, here we go. And then now let me then copy over that file that I have, which is over here. And then we'll make changes to it. Okay. Okay, here we go. I think it's. Okay, here we go. Now I kind of figure it out. I need to use Emacs keystroke. Okay. I call it one.mary G. Okay. Here we go. Oh, put it over here first. Okay, let's do it like this for now. Pulsar function demo 1. And then this is the guy, and then override of these things. I think override is from. Okay, we'll figure it out. Okay, let's kind of take a look. Let's go to Maven. Let's just do a Maven refresh. Then it should start downloading and pulling all the dependencies over. Still going? Yeah, okay. Okay. I think I might be blocking it for you guys. Right behind, right? Oh, this one is that. Is it here? Okay. I think still going. Build. Sync, but then it's still not able to find Pulsar. So, or Apache Pulsar. So, where's my palm? Or Apache Pulsar client. Okay. Maybe I need a separate one for the function. Okay, let me kind of take a look. Okay. Function, right? Maybe the Pulsar function is a separate thing. Separate guy. Okay. Pulsar. Or maybe not. Maybe it's already like underneath a client, right? Or well, of course, I shouldn't have kind of like been a little bit. Pulsar functions. Maybe it's functions. Pulsar functions. Oh, here we go. Wait. Are these? Here we go. That's what I needed. I also need this. All right, so I have Pulsar functions too, so let's kind of do an update. I bet this should at least, yeah, that's good. Okay, here we go. Oh, all good, all good. Okay, except for the override. Okay, where? Oh, okay, override actually got it too. Okay, cool. All right, so this is cool. So I should be able to then build it, right? Build module. Oh, and I only have 2 minutes, but at least I think I got it up now, and so at least it's built okay. And yeah, and then I have another meeting really in 2 minutes. So love it whenever I can get it. But over here it doesn't like my package name. I thought I have it over here. In any event, yeah, that's right. So okay, so that's my new domain. So anyway, so that's that. And let me kind of take a look. So now we get a quick Java function up. So the idea is that we do need to bundle up and generate a jar file and then use that jar file and import into our cluster, which I only have 1 minute to do. So let me kind of really take a really quick look. Go back to my Astra database. That's another thing. It's always so annoying. All right, there's no way I can finish. I think I only have 30 seconds and then I have to go to the meeting. So anyway, to just kind of show you, right, I just built it. I don't think I've generated my jar file yet, but of course I need to set it up so I generate my jar file. So in that case, I think I do believe that back to the tenant, right? Okay, so back to the tenant side, functions. I believe that we should be able to say create the function and then upload our code and then choose the input topic and do all these things. So this is something we can try out next time. How about that? Because right now is at the top of the hour for me, the 4 o'clock meeting. So cannot miss that. And so wanting to thank you all for having been so patient with me today, if you are here, right? And I hope it has been helpful writing a quick Pulsar simple word count function. Let me know what you think, okay? And follow me and also join me on my Discord and join in all the conversation. I hope you all have a great, great night, great day, great morning. See you next time. Thanks a lot.